Let's start by, I don't know whether we're supposed to hold hands, pray to God or something.
Something
Justin
like that.
Welby has gone. Thank the goddamn Lord.
Thank the Lord, as people would say. I mean, I predicted it yesterday. I know you were talking about it yesterday as well. I mean, it wasn't a difficult prediction to make, but a lot of people thought he would. A lot of people thought he would hang in there because, you know, he didn't think that he'd done anything wrong. And there are still people. Have you seen Rory Stewart? Rory Stewart, the man who got everything wrong last week about Kamala Harris winning against
got everything wrong about Brexit. Got everything wrong about everything.
Well, he's now put a tweet out saying what a nice man Justin Welby is, and that you know, he's always felt that he's very open and transparent.
Can I just because you're going to be the calm one, I'm not. Rory Stewart, you're an absolute idiot. What about the 132 boys who were sexually abused by this paedophile? Why do people like Stewart miss the point?
Because they're middle class, cosseted little lives don't get affected by this sort of stuff, and they somehow and I mean, I had a guy on from the BBC who was defending, you know, Gary Lineker earlier on today on the show, and he said, you know, the Twitter mob's coming after the Archbishop of Canterbury now, and I'm like, well, it's not a Twitter mob, it's because he was in a position to do something to punish a man who had done some awful stuff with over 130 young men and boys, sometimes not sexually, but always beating them, drawing blood from them. I mean, it's just incredible.
Whilst ignoring being honest about that, talking about slavery reparations, likening the climate threat to Nazism, comparing the Rwanda plan to Nazism, and calling the EU the greatest dream realised for human beings since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. And he more or less, get your bloody house straight, Welby.
And he more or less insinuated that if you voted Tory, it wasn't a very Christian thing to do.
I would say it's not Christian to allow a man to abuse physically and sexually 130. Rory Stewart, you're a numpty.
He really is.
What a joke Rory Stewart
And
is.
Isn't it funny that all of these people seem to be hidden from sight in religious organisations? You know, that's where you find them, an awful lot of them.
Why do you think the church is in trouble? Why do you think the flock is dispensing itself? It makes me sick. There's another point, actually, which is sits in the Lords on £330 a week. Is he going to get that afterwards? Or
£330 a day if he turns up every day. Well, he's only in the Lords because he was put there as a bishop, as the Archbishop. So I don't know whether, because I was down there once, right? Very weird scene.
Is it?
You walk through these hallowed corridors of the House of Lords, you know. I was having lunch with a friend of mine who happens to be a Lord, right?
Lord Ed Vasey?
It wasn't him, no. He's not a friend of mine.
No.
But he'd like to be. He would. No, so suddenly I was walking down this corridor and this door opened, sort of creaked open, and all these bishops came out. And I thought of shouting, you know, Knight to Bishop 3 or something. I didn't know what to do, but there was about 6 or 7 of them, all dressed to the nines with the robes and everything, and the mitres on. And I thought, there's actually a room for bishops where they just sit on their own. Well,
I don't know. I'm sure this can be independently verified. I was told earlier by a known authority, James Price, that there's only 2 countries in the world where clerics can sit in a political house.
Interesting.
One is the United Kingdom. You know the other country?
No.
Iran.
I was going to... Yes, of course.
How frightening is that?
That is scary, isn't it?
It is quite
I would get rid of them. I wouldn't have bishops in there at all. There's no place for them. In 2024, you don't need an ecclesiastical kind of situation, do you?
No.
Running the country.
Somebody just said, how much is the Tooth Fairy giving Kev?
Well, the Tooth Fairy's moved in with him, I think.
It's about 12 grand so far.
Every morning he wakes up, something else has come out of his face.
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy's skin. Listen, this is great. A breaking news story. Sadiq Khan.
Yes.
I'll leave this to you. This is, honestly, wind yourselves up, peeps. Listen to this.
Project Gladis is what it's called. Project Gladis.
Hello, campus. Heidi, hi.
Who would call something Project Gladis?
Why?
Right? Now, this is a pay-per-mile scheme.
Yes.
We've always been told that this is the next stage. You know, they've had the congestion charge.
Yeah.
They've got the ULEZ charge. They've got the super ULEZ charge.
Yeah.
And they can't make enough money because, obviously, the more people that have electric cars, the less road tax they collect. So now they're going, now we have to figure out a new way of actually getting money into the exchequer. So it's considered charging motorists up to £2 a mile to drive in London, according to some leaked documents that we've just got our hands on. And it's unbelievable. They were going to charge people about 40 quid to drive in and out of central London.
Expected to be introduced in September 26 as part of the Labour Mayor's drive to meet ambitious net zero targets. The plans would have seen the cost of road journeys from outer London into the centre almost trebling. It comes after... God, Khan spent 150 million of taxpayers' money on secret technology to deliver pay-per-mile road pricing, previously revealed by The Telegraph. This man is a...
He is. Who do they think
Justin
they are?
Welby's gone.
Yeah.
Starmer and Khan, somebody said earlier. He is a danger man. Honestly,
he really is.
It's frightening.
Well, I mean, it's good news, isn't it, this week, that we've got, you know, we've seen Donald Trump triumph last week, which is brilliant. Gary Lineker and Welby gone in the same 2-day period, right? Now, we've got to have a third person.
Do you think Justin Welby will be the next presenter of Match of the Day? He's woke enough, isn't he?
Well, he could be doing that, but also some people were suggesting maybe Gary Lineker could become the new Archbishop of Canterbury. You know, they should do a job swap. You know, why not?
God.
But this guy, he hasn't seen a taxpayer that he hasn't wanted to tax more. He doesn't look at you and go, oh, you're Jeremy Kyle. You create quite a lot of interest in the world. You make quite a lot of money. You pay quite a lot of taxes. He thinks of you as somebody who should be paying more tax. And so if you're coming in a car, we're going to charge you even more. It's unbelievable.
What I don't get about Khan, Starmer, Miliband, Lammy, and what I took great heart from last week with Trump, and I said this to you off air, is everybody jumped up and down and talked about women's rights and gender ideology and he's a disgrace and he's a Nazi and he's this, he's misogynistic, he's this, he's that and the other. The fact of the matter is, and you lived there, your mum lived there, in middle America, and I will very much suspect north of Watford Gap, if they do not get their heads out their backsides, the same will happen in England. Your average Joe in America, Michael, wanted to talk about the price of gas in the car, food, and what the hell was happening with the immigrants. And it is extraordinary, because I think the same will happen in the United Kingdom. It will happen.
It's the exact same agenda as it is here as well. And similarly, they don't want to know about whether or not you have to call a woman who has got a penis a woman, or whether you have to allow a man
to breastfeed.
To breastfeed, or to go into a boxing match with another woman.
Do they have to be injected so that some useless liquid comes out of your boobs as a man to make you feel like you're breastfeeding? I mean, the whole thing is
to be locking these people up. I mean, they shouldn't be saying, you know, that's great, now you're a woman. No, you're not. You're a weirdo, right? Get in the weirdo prison with all the other weirdos.
And I said something earlier, and I won't name the person, you know who I'm talking about. I know somebody who talks all the time incessantly about women's rights, right? Fine. It's fine. But when it comes to transgender arguments, if you say to that person, so you're happy with a bloke who's got a todger, sorry about this, going to a female toilet, you're happy for a bloke who's not a woman, who's injecting himself so some liquid comes out of his chest to go to a breastfeeding clinic.
No.
Where's your support of women's rights in that moment?
Exactly.
There isn't any support.
And most sensible people would agree with you. You know, and it's only this kind of fringe element of crazies who think that they should push this agenda on not only us, but on our children, and to tell children. Who was I listening to? Was it your show yesterday when somebody said they had a baby and the midwife or the health visitor came and asked if what the baby's sexual preference was?
Yes, that
was your show, wasn't it?
And I also had a midwife on 3 months ago on this very show who said she'd been fired after 28 years because an official complaint had been made, because as the baby came out, she said, you have a baby boy, and they went, it's up to us to decide what we've got. How dare you do that?
That's ridiculous.
I mean, honest to God, in the end, I just want to. I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer's a nightmare. Sadiq Khan's a joke.
He is.
Project Gladis.
Project Gladis. I mean, happily, it hasn't happened yet, but it probably will.
Yes.
They'll probably bring it in because they can't find any other ways of taxing us apart from taxing us in cars, basically.
In the most ludicrous way. The other thing that's ludicrous, of course, is COP22.
Oh, yeah.
29. I don't know if you heard this. I got McCarthy, obviously listening to some football on Sunday, was on 5 Live. Nana Machete was on, who I know and actually is all right, and I mean that. And she'd read out an email to this bloke in Baku about COP29, and it was from a listener going, hold on a second, the big players who cast all this stuff into the environment, they're not there.
No.
There's problems in this country. Shouldn't Keir Starmer be dealing with pensions? And this bloke, this BBC reporter, Mike, said as follows: no, everybody's here, and 72% of the United Kingdom, we've done a survey, know that this is the most important thing. And I'm screaming at the radio going, you're lying.
No, it's
you
not
are
true.
lying.
Yeah, I know, and they have this BBC Verify organisation, right? They never verify what the BBC says because they need to, because what they say quite often is complete and utter tosh and rubbish. And they know it is. They had that climate editor who flew all the way to Alicante last year, do you remember, to tell us how warm it was. It's very warm in Alicante. Oh, really? You know,
no Sherlock.
Sherlock, yeah, exactly. You know, thanks very much.
But the greatest moment of all day.
You know, you can go to Dubai and tell us it's hot there next.
It's really cold in Iceland. It really is. I know. My favourite part of the whole day, though, and I know you'll share this, Project Gladys is up there, but my favourite is all these lefties decamped to Baku in Azerbaijan, and they all get ready.
Baku to the future.
Baku to the future. And the president of Azerbaijan stood up and said, welcome, oil and gas is a gift from God.
Yes.
I mean, that's the end of it, isn't it? Fossil fuels are great.
It's one of the most oil-rich countries in the world, right? But it's a former Russian republic. My daughter's actually there at the moment, covering it, right? And she's like, you would not believe the people here. They're all so poor because the oligarchs have taken all the money, basically. It's a corrupt state,
so
right?
why are we allowing that to be magnified in the human...
do you know who else is there?
Putin?
The Taliban. I'm not joking. The Taliban are at the conference, right? So Keir Starmer is now sharing a platform with the Taliban. I'm not sure what their climate change policy is. I'm pretty sure they don't let women drive. They don't let women speak.
No.
They don't let women go anywhere.
What do women's rights campaigners in the United Kingdom think about that, then?
Funnily enough, there's no march this weekend for the Taliban women.
No.
No, they don't care about them.
How is Em? Is she all right?
Yeah, very well. She's bored stiff, though. She says it's the most boring place she's ever been, especially with COP. You know, it's just ridiculous. There's nothing happening. People are talking in riddles. You know, Keir Starmer makes a speech saying 81%, and everybody knows it's rubbish. It doesn't matter what he wants to do by 2035. Because
he's not going to empower you to... The other thing that does it
is he going to get on another one of those Jeeps like he did with Macron? Did you see that?
How slow did that go?
Well, I thought it was going to go backwards because it's French, obviously.
And also, Kevin Sullivan, before his tooth fell out,
I can't remember the point
Kevin Sullivan's bark is more than his bite. Here's a good point. What the bloody hell was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom doing on Armistice Day in France?
I've no idea.
Shouldn't he have been in the United Kingdom?
Well, you would have thought so. You would have thought so. I mean, some people have made the suggestion that maybe he went there because there's an awful lot of British war dead in France. That's true. But nobody's been there since Churchill. No. So why does he think suddenly he should go? And nobody understands what he was doing in the Jeep. You know, if you want to go and stand by the eternal flame, which, by the way, I've got a question. They lit the eternal flame yesterday, right, when he was there. If it's an eternal flame, why do they have to light it?
It'd be on anyway, wouldn't
it be on all the time?
I want to tell you a very true story before I go, before you go. So 2000, the big millennium, hosting in the middle of Centenary Square for Beyond and Birmingham Radio with the BBC and everything, and there's 30,000 people, and and I've got Cliff Richard. And he's got the light of a good hope. And I've literally never been on the BBC in my life, and they count me down, and I've got to walk out with Cliff Richard, and there's people rubbing his back, and he's cold, and he leans forward and does that, and there's a gust of wind, and it goes out. And as the BBC comes to me, the bloody thing's gone out, and Cliff Richard's microphone is, and I'm stood there like an idiot. So no, eternal flame, not a chance.
Yeah, never worked with the children and animals or Cliff Richard, I suppose.
Yes, I know we did. Ryan's, he's telling me off again, so we need to break, we need to break.
Well, too late, yes, I know.
Yes. Sorry, Ryan.
Sorry, Ryan.
You're going to grasp me up to the boss? No, you're fine. Anyway, Michael Graham. By the way, there's a promo saying that you're on at 6:30. I pointed out it starts at 6. It
starts at 6. We're doing 6 to 10. Our 4 glorious hours of morning glory.
Amazing. Incredible. How do you get up and at it so early?
Well, just the same as I always did. Practice.
He's a legend, ladies and gentlemen, and I start a campaign. Sir Michael Graham, back tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. only here on Talk.